Noon. We will continue our discussion as we try to remember. Our last discussion was on uh, the Skinner box. No, remember that authored by B.F. Skinner, wherein he had that Skinner box, as what I have told you. That according to that theory introduced by Skinner, there in his operant conditioning, the behavior of the person is controlled by uh, the consequence of his action. No, the consequence of his action. Now it depends on the if you are, for example, if you are doing bad, as what I have explained, you will be punished. But if you are doing good, you can be prized. You can receive your award, your reward, or you will be given incentives, privileges, no, whatever, as long as it will motivate you, no, that will reform your behavior, and that it will change, no, it will change your behavior. So, in spite of that uh, result from the study of Skinner, there is that still there are persons who prefer to be punished rather than to be prized or to be rewarded. So according to him, there might be something wrong. No? There might be something wrong in the implementation of the punishment, which is he suggested that punishment must be, one is that it should be applied immediately. Then second, the punishment must be inescapable. And third is that it should be sufficiently unpleasant. That's the point of Skinner there. That punishment must have that characteristic. First is that it should be applied immediately. Second is it's inescapable. Third, it is sufficiently unpleasant. Now, take note that there are, even though that harsh forms of punishment were implemented, but it does not significantly reduce recidivism. No, wala, sa uban nga sections, I already defined what is recidivism. But the concept there is when we say recidivism, it pertains to repeat offenders. Repeat ka ng balik-balik na. Recidivism. Uh, so there are other psychological principles that were applied in order to lessen the rate of this recidivism. Uh, the 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 this is the spelling of the recidivism for your reference. So other psychological principles were applied, such as rehabilitation, relearning, retraining, and educational programs. Mao na ang concept ko diha nga bisan pa kuno bugat kayo ang punishment nga gi-apply, pero wa magyapon mo tagam, di ba? Magyapon mo tagam. Ang uban manghinambog pa man nga wa pa tumalukot na kung apong banig sa prisuhan ay binuang diha, di ba? So, lisod kayo. They are kuan murag wala gyud ma-reform ang ilang kinaiya. That's why there are some other psychological principles that were applied, such as rehabilitation, rehabilitate, i-relearn, or i-retrain, or provide them educational programs. Ang atong criminal justice system, especially sa correction, it's not intended nga pagpasakit sa tao. Siguro usala na sa resulting consequence nga na priso sila, then na sila konsekwensya ni ana nga kuan ay ana nga punishment ang kalisod. But it is really intended to reform the character of a person. No? Pag-usab sa kinaiya sa tao, dili ingon nga pasakitan, kundi ang pag-usab sa kinaiya. That's why nga there are some mga penitentiary institutions, mga penal institutions, for example, Iwahig sa Palawan, that daghan no ang ma-reform gyud nga mga kinaiya sa tao because nindot man ang ilang patakaran. For example, kung mapriso ang tao dito, tagaan nila og parcel of land to cultivate, no? If you are a farmer, no? If that person is a farmer, then he will be given a parcel of land for him to cultivate. Or kung unsa iyang kwan, if he is an artist, then he will be given unsay mga materials para makahimo, makadraw siya. Even sa pagkuan, for example, this Christmas season, adunay mga adunay mga skilled nga mga prisoners nga pwede magamit maghimo mga lanterns, mga parol para makabaligya. Even kanang mga kanang mga kung gingon katong glass, no, nga naay barko sa ilawom. Usa na sa ilang mga produce, usa na sa mga produkto nila ana nga kuan dito. Nindot kay because besides nga napriso sila at that time dito sa Iwahig sa Palawan, maka-generate gyapon sila income so that they can also send money to their respective families. No? Makapadala gyapon sila. And ma-reform yun tinuod ang tao because nindot man ang mga pribilehiyo nga ilang ma-enjoy po dito. Other psychological methods such as maintaining visible presence of law enforcement and other methods of maintaining self-awareness in tempting situation can also be introduced, no? Para pagtanggal sa krimen, pag-eradicate crime. Now in crime profiling is based heavily on psychological principles. So it is based heavily on psychological principles. For a while, okay. Criminal profiling. So, bisan ang criminal profiling are also anchored on psychological principles, or psychological principles are applied in criminal profiling and represent an effort to either apprehend criminals or identify persons at risk for certain behavior. So, mao na sila nga sa pag-profile sa criminals, naay mga kuan diha, naay mga ilang mga models, no, different models to apprehend criminals and to identify persons that arrest for certain behavior. Makita na daan so may gawi aning tawhana. Aduna ba ni siya criminal tendency, na? So mo na nga sa pag-profile, meaning when we say criminal profiling, katong mga naay mga highly potential nga mga tao nga possible maka-commit og crime. Ilan na nadaan dito nakalista, naka-index na dito, no? Unsa may ilang mga kuan ani, unsa may ilang mga kinaiya din man ni silang mga family, unsa may mga group nga mga involved ani nila nga mga tao. So this can be used. Psychological principles are very useful in identifying persons at risk for criminal behavior, certain behavior. Now, according to psychologists, the best predictor, kanang maka-predict ba, makatagna, no, sa future behavior is the individual's past behavior. According to psychologists, we're still, take note class that we are still on psychological approach, ha? Ang pinaka kuno best predictors of future behavior is ang iyang nakaraan, ang iyang nakaraan. So it's kuan, based sa iyang past behavior, makaingon ka nga posible nga mo occur na nga behavior niya. So policies that are specifically designed to deal with repeat offenders, katong mga recidivists, no, are also based on psychological principles of criminality. So natin mga psychological principles of criminality nga posible katong mga repeat offenders, ang mga nakas unsay iyang mga sa daan, posible nga mahimo na niya, no? For example, kaning even kaning cheating, kaning manlimbong. So usa sa kuan nga kung nakalimbong na ka before, posible nga makalimbong pa kag otro, no? There could be pattern of behavior, no, nga have even history, naman na history repeats itself, balik-balik na siya. Now, if a person is not totally reformed, nga wala siya, especially those who have no remorse sa ilang previous, sa ilang past behavior, posible nga mo reoccur, mubalik ra na siya, kalit na siya, or posible nga anytime, sa iyang lifetime, pwede na nga makomit niya, balik na siya nga iyang behavior, past behavior. Thus, according to the psychologist, methods of crime control policies based on psychological principles target individual and attempt to reform or prevent criminal behavior from that perspective. So, sa po na nga gibasihan sa mga psychologist nga ang pag-control sa crime policies, sa crime control policies based on psychological principles, i-target na ang mga individual niya na attempt to reform or prevent criminal behavior from that perspective. Sanglit, kung nakahibaw, no, if no, ayon pa sa mga psychologist, kung nasabtan na nimo nga naana na siya criminal tendency nga tao, for example, to steal. So do not give him the chance. No? Do not give him the chance nga makakawat pa siya. So we should, as law enforcers, ato i-deter gikan sa ato ipalayo gikan sa nga di siya matempt paghimo otro. Kay kung naana na mismo nga kuan gud sa iya, naana na nga behavior, then posible nakalimot siya pero dali ra makahinomdom gyapon siya, di ba? That's the concept introduced by these psychological principles through the psychologist. Any policies requiring therapeutic intervention, retraining, or education are psychological in nature. Any policies requiring therapeutic. What is therapeutic? It pertains to or relating to healing of disease. When we say no therapeutic claim, walay na-declare pa nga maayo ni ana nga sa anang tambala. When we say therapeutic intervention, aduna na siya aduna na siya conclusion nga makaayo gid na siyang tambala, no? So meaning, there are psychological theories or psychological principles nga very applicable and will be very useful to such criminal problem. So it is called as therapeutic intervention, retraining, or education. There are all forms of psychological principles. They are psychological in nature. Any policy designed at preventing crime by targeting individuals such as raising consciousness, promoting self-awareness, or identifying individuals at risk are also partake as psychological method or psychological in nature. Raising consciousness. What is raising consciousness? Raising consciousness is to increase one's awareness and understanding of one's own needs and their behavior, their attitude, especially when they are member of a particular group or social group. No? So, raising consciousness, pag-increase sa awareness kung unsa may ilang mga needs, unsa may ilang mga panginahanglan, unsa may ilang mga namatan og buot, unsa may mga values nila, unsa may ilang mga attitude, unsa may ilang mga perspective sa ilang kinabuhi anang grupuha, if they are from tribes or from mga ethnic groups, no? So that is part of raising consciousness to increase our awareness and understanding in one's need, no? Sa need sa uban nga mata. That is what we call as raising consciousness. That is psychological. Also, we have promotion of self-awareness, no? Promoting self-awareness. Unsa man pud ng self-awareness, mismo kita, to be aware kung unsay dapat sa ato. Di ba? Mo na psychological also na, no? How do we promote self-awareness? From the word self-awareness, do na tay aware ta sa ato kaugalingon.
So dapat na according to some of the authors, promoting self-awareness is to have an open mind. Abli ang imong mind. Ha? So pag-promote ko ng self-awareness, dapat you keep your mind open. Dili ka close-minded nga individual. Self-awareness is kuan ka, you are ready for scrutinize ang imong kaugalingon. Dili ingon nga sirado na ko, mo na ni ako belief, mo na ni ang akong kinaiya. No, that's not self-awareness. You might have closed your self with your social kuan, your social activity, di ba? So keep an open mind if you are self-aware. Then also, it is important to know your strengths and weaknesses. That is self-awareness. Kung sa man ko, pasensyoso ba ko nga tao, or dali ra ko masuko, mubo ra ko temper. That is self-awareness. Dapat dili ko ani nga kind nga mga joke kay ma-offend ko. Mangmuwa din akong now, mubagting di akong dunggan. So, that is knowing yourself, knowing your strength and weaknesses. So, maka-impulsive ba ka? No? Bakay kung nakay kwarta mo, hurot lang dayon bang imong kwarta dito gasto kung unsa imong gusto paliton, no? That is self-awareness. Know yourself. What is your potential? What is your strength? Unsa pud ang imong mga weakness, di ba? That is promoting self-awareness. Yourself, Then also it's important that if you are promoting self-awareness, you have to stay focused, no? Yes, stay focused. So may akong goal sa akong kinabuhi. Unsa may akong mga objectives, unsa may akong mga plano nga gusto na akong maabot, di ba? So, promoting self-awareness. Unsa may do's and don'ts nako, di ba? So mo na nakanindot if you are stay focused, hibaw ka kung unsay angayan nimong buhaton, no? Na kay mga do's and don'ts. Unya uh, kuan ka nga dili ko ani mo buhat, no? Kay labag ni sa akong kaugalingon nga gi plano. That is focus sa imong self. Oh. Then you have to set your boundaries if you are promoting self-awareness. Yeah, it is very necessary that you have to set your boundaries. Asa ra ko kutob, asa mga ko limitasyon. Kung mag-inom man ko, unsa man pila ra ko kabaso nga beer or tuba or kung mugasto man ko, dapat ako ni itagana nga napa ko reserve para simbak ko lang kung naay mga emergency, di ba? So that's ko It's also setting boundaries also needs self-discipline, di ba? Kung nakalatid imong boundaries usahay, sige lang, okay ra mo go beyond ko sa akong boundary. No. If you have that boundary, you practice self-discipline. Dapat ikibaw po ka nga kung dili na sa imong pamaagi, then ayaw buhata, di ba? That is self-discipline. Uh, then another promoting your self-awareness, you have to consider others, no? You consider your action, you have to consider your action that might affect other persons. So, i-consider nga unsa man kaning akong action wa ba kay masakitan nini, no? So that is self-awareness. Asa man unsa may mga actions nako nga ma-bless ang ubang tao, ha? Unsa may action nako nga way masakitan, way maligsan. Di pa ko kuan lang kitaon nga sige lang ko pabilib o unsa ba, di ba? Matamakan lang na akong ubang tao. That's self-awareness. You have to consider other persons that might be affected by uh, by your uh, by your works, by your actions. Then also, if you are self-aware, you have to receive feedback. Yeah, you have to receive feedback. So feedback, kung mamati ka sa ubang tao, yeah, unsa may kuan niya, unsa may ilang mga istorya sa akong kinaiya, di ba ko stricto, di ba ko lenientra, di ba ko kuan kaning murag isikam isigo lang ko, di ba? Or sa may akong mga actions, kinahanglan ba ko nga usbon ako? Do I need to remorse, magbasol ba ko, mag-repent ba ko, di ba? So, if we are promoting self-awareness, then we have to, again, somehow it's like an opening yourself, di ba? Dili closely mo imong kagalingon. You also need feedback so that along the way you can also be corrected, di ba? Now, these are a form of psychological approaches, no, that are very psychological in nature. The psychologists have have long recognized that the best predictor of future behavior is his individual or his past behavior. Okay, that's the one, no? That's about psychological approach. Now let's go to sociological approaches. Sociological approaches is lain pod, no? Lain pod. Sociological and psychological principles of criminality are intertwined. That's another word. That's the same word I tell you nga ang biological, ang psychological and sociological approaches or aspect of a human person cannot be separated. No? So it's like this one also for the sociological approach. According to them, dapat kasabay ang psychological principles of criminality pod, no? They are not independent. Kuan na sila, puro na sila nakagapos sa usag-usa, nagapos na silang sociological o psychological. As with the psychological theories, there are numerous sociological formulations of the cause and control of criminality. Naghapon, parihara sa psychological, naghapon yung mga sociological principles or theories nga magamit, no, sa pag sumpo ng mga criminality. The sociological notions of criminality are viewed as attempting to connect, take note that it is attempting to connect the issues of individual criminality with broader social structures and cultural values of society, their family relations, and their peer group. O, ilang sa familial nila, ilang cultural values sa society. O, they are viewed from social interactions in the cultural and historical developments, including the view of social construction of criminality and its social causes. So may pasabot ana. They are viewed kuno from social interactions. Whether it is from culture, mo na naanda nila, mo na ilang tradition, mo na ilang inana silang community dia maisog. Oh, so mo na ilang culture po. They have the culture of being sa na isog kaning brave, no? They brave or sa bay ilang mga culture diha. So naumol na daan sa dugay na nga panahon kana nga sociological kuan nila aspeto. Because my grandfather is a fighter, I am also a fighter. That's a notion. That's a notion. Nga imo na mo siya kung ikaw member ka diha ana nga family or member ka ana diha nga community, makayo po ka nga isog pug ko kay naagog ko sa isog nga kuan, di ba? Or mo yung ka nga di ako sa barumbado nga mga nga community, barumbado pug ko, di ba? So ana ang concept sa kuan, ana ang concept sa kining sociological. They are viewed from social interactions in the cultural and historical developments, including the social construction of criminality, even how these criminals are being born or being coddled, meaning gitaguan lang diha because namanggoy mo kung mo emerge mo lang guna because according to what we have discussed, it's a social phenomenon. It's a social phenomenon. Mubutho na nagkalit ang crime. The traditional sociological theories, traditional is kanang karaan, no? Kanang mga tradition atong na hand down from older generation to younger generation. That is traditional sociological theories. Propose, no? It is the propose that crime was a result of anomy, which means social instability from a breakdown of standards and values. So kanang anomy, later on, makakuha ka nga, naay anomy ni Emil Durkheim, Ah, napoy anomy ni Robert Merton. Although similar ng ilang explanation, magkapupariha, but ang kang kuan, ang kang Emil Durkheim god, it's more on the economic aspect. It's more on the economic aspect. Ang kang Robert Merton po, it's more on the sociological aspect. Kang Robert Merton. Na according to Emil Durkheim, the term means kaninga term nga anomy. The term anomy also means normlessness. When you say normlessness, walay norm, walay minta nga anormal ra man na siya ana mo gid na ilang behavior mo na norm gi-practice na sa kadaghanan. Ah, oh. So, siguro because of frustrations, no? Because of lack of people's cohesiveness, lack of wala na sila magkausa. Oh, ang mga old mga structural principles, mga beliefs, mga lifestyles naghinay-hinay nagkawagtang ano man. The norm of the people is already adulterated with the western nga mga kinaiya. For example, kanang kinaiya nato sa Pilipino, di ba? Itong una, muaminta, makakuanta, may gabi inoy, may gabi inang. That's our culture. That's our tradition nga little by little nagtikawa na anay batasan usahay di na mga gabi abot sa balay di na gani mga gabi katahuran sa mga ginikanan, di ba? Because our behavior is nagtika adulterated, nasagulan. Sa US di naman gani mo tahod ug mama mo yun naman lang nga, oy Elizabeth, oy Cleopatra, ilang mga pagsampit sa ilang mga ginikanan. Di na wa nay tahod. So that's according to Durkheim, there's normlessness, wala nay norm because nagkasagol-sagol na. Feeling of lack of social norms, lack of being connected to society. Wala na connection because your model is to as America or your model is a Korean. Mo na pud na imong gi-project, mo na pud na imong imong kinaiya, mo na pud Korean. Mao na siya. That's lack of cohesiveness na. That's according to the theory of anomy of Emil Durkheim. On the other hand, Robert Merton, lain po ang iyang pag-define sa anomy. No? It's a social inability from breakdown of standards and values because there are people are trying to block this group. No? Wala na ay mga tao nga nag-aspire, nga maningkamot. There are people nga naniguro siya, mo rely sa government. No? But nawala ang ilang values, nawala ang ilang standard because of promises, because of mga pasalig nga mo na especially sa politiko. We cannot evade from that fact nga murag ang atong mga politiko puro lang promises pero pila lang niya. Mura ba nga mao gining politiko hambugiro. Tuo kag hambugiro, di ba? Ubutar ba yung hambugiro? Di ba? So mo na siya. That's what according to Robert Merton. There might be a fall of a social breakdown, no? Breakdown of the standards and values that will result to rebellion, retreat, ritualism, and innovation. Innovation is bisag unsa na lang ilang kapit sa patalim or unsa ilang mga himuon para lang nga makuan sila, para lang nga makalingkawas, di ba? So mo na nga duha ka view aning sa anomy, no? But anomy is the breakdown, the social instability from a breakdown of standards and values. Who is Emil Durkheim? Emil Durkheim is a French sociologist in 18th century, 17th century pa. Said that criminality results from the failure to properly socialize individuals and by equal opportunities between groups. Emil Durkheim believed that crime was inescapable fact of society and advocated maintaining crime within reasonable boundaries. He believed that crime is inescapable. dili malikyan na agi na siya. That's an inescapable fact of the society. And he advocated maintaining crime within reasonable boundaries. Minsan nga okay ra man ang night crime pero dapat kontrolado, no? Dapat kontrolado. Kay di man yun na when we say inevitable, na siya kanang inescapable siya, di malikyan pero dapat kontrolado. That's the point of Emil Durkheim. Now, a feature of sociological theories is that society constructs criminality. It's the society kuno that construct. Ang society mismo mo ay nag-produce anang criminality sa sociological theories. Crimes are harmful, but there are crimes which do not result in harm, called victimless crimes. For the victimless crimes, according to the sociologists, they recommended that it should be decriminalized. Kung wala biktima, then anong padayon man na nato nga consider nga krimen. No? Nganong ato man na siya ipadayon nga krimen na siya kung way mga biktima. For example, sa may mga victimless crimes, daghan man. For example, kaning drug use. Pero too much lagi. As according to one, dapat it should be contained within certain boundaries. Dili pwede nga imo lang po napasagdan. Prostitution, di ba? Prostitution. Prostitution is a crime, but wala may victim. Siguro ang mga prostitutes, but it's their, they feel it pleasant siguro nga mo na ilang profession. So we can probably recommend for decriminalization or even reduce the penalties according to the severity of the effect to the society. Kung dagko ra kay nga mga penalties, pwede nato na siya if prostitution is also a profession, di ba? So we can reduce penalties and kung depende kung sa iyang effect sa society. Okay. There are important sociological control. One is to increase legitimate opportunities for advancement and obtainment of goods and wealth. No? This means equal opportunities to all individuals. This is an important sociological control. Increase the opportunities and advancement when it comes to goods and wealth. Meaning, ang tanan ay access sa kuan, ay access sa work, ay access sa school, sa education, sa food, sa employment. That's one of the advocacy of the sociologists. Other related sociological controls for crime is organizing and empowering neighborhood residents with projects like Crime Watch. Mapuni ilang mga advocacy po. Dapat kuno magtinabangay, mag-organize para pag-prevent sa crime. Neighborhood residents, mga kung walay tanod, then naay kuan if there is what we call as mga homeowners association, then we can pay persons to conduct probing, di ba? So they are organizing empowering neighborhood residents with projects like crime watches. They're also providing law-abiding citizens or models to support to parents, di ba? So providing law-abiding models, meaning adunay mga maayong mga modelo nga dili hambugero, dili mga kuan, dili mga muhatag lag promise kung di ka nang mga muhatag yung tinuod nga suporta. So tinuod nga mga promises, no? Support to parents, dapat ang mga parents tabangan in terms of educating their children, sending them to school, diba? Then stronger and harsher penalties for serious crimes. No? Dapat kung grabe you guys at one, then we will have to apply serious penalties, no? Stronger and harsher penalties. And appropriate law enforcement and functional justice system. That is the recommendation of the sociological controls. No? So daghan ang mga pamaagi nga gi-adapt, no? Just like the psychological approaches, ang sociological approaches daghan pod. But again, it is more focused on the group of persons. Unlike the psychological, ang ilang approach is individual. The sociological, ang ilang approach is group, no, a society. Okay? So at least we have two kuan na no, na discuss na to. We have two approaches na, psychological and the sociological. Next meeting, next discussion, I will be discussing with you the the biological approach. These are kuan man gud ni class introduction pa ni towards atong pagkuan sa mga theories na mismo. These are the laying of the foundation ba nga dili mo masya kung sa man istorya ni sir. So I'm introducing to you that the approaches, the different approaches, the psychological, the sociological, and to be discussed is the biological. Ato na siya i-discuss next one because next week we'll have our prelim na. Supposedly, I don't know with the other subjects ninyo, the schedule given by the admin, the school administration is October 13. That's Huibis and Biyernes, di ba? So, ato na siya, kung ano, siguro di lang tamo sabay para dili sa mo maloaded umayo. We'll have our exam next week. Ato lang tanawon kung unsa nga mga days, ha? So, ato na i-arrange. After the exam, because we are through with the introduction of these approaches, then we'll start with the theories. And then I'm planning that I will assign to you mga different theories that will be the one I will group you into several groups to discuss. Then we'll listen, then we'll meet kung unsay mga i-discuss na to clarify these matters, no? Ato na siya ato na siya plan out atong pan. And that is all for now, class. See you next week. I mean, still have to give you another discussion concerning the biological approach. Okay? Okay, so good luck and thank you.